Perfection. That's what I think about Season 1 of Wayward Pines. Pretty sure that's not a controversial statement in any way. The way how the first half is this build-up of mystery, questions, and confusion, to the big reveal midway through, which bewilders viewers, to end with an uprising that takes out the one playing God. Then they kill all your favorite characters, deliver a plot with no substance, and end on a cliffhanger. Just in case it's been a while for some people, let's recap the good season, Season 1. It begins with Ethan Burke, a Secret Service agent, waking up in the strange town of Wayward Pines during a hunt for two missing agents. Everyone around is acting very weird, including Kate, the agent Ethan was tasked with finding. He meets a bartender named Beverly, who helps him find the dead body of the other missing agent. After Beverly and Ethan hatch a plan to escape, everything goes wrong, and Kate and her husband Harold turn them into Sheriff Pope, who executes Beverly on the spot. Throughout this, Ethan's wife Teresa and son Ben are searching for him and wind up in Wayward Pines. The Burke family is reunited, and due to some rising conflict, Ethan kills Sheriff Pope and opens the gate to the town. Instantly, something enters and takes Pope's body. Spooked by this event, the Burkes close the gate and return to town. Within days, Ethan becomes the new sheriff, Teresa becomes a realtor, and Ben begins school. Life is strangely normal for the Burkes in Wayward Pines. At the end of episode 4, Ethan climbs the face of a cliff to escape the town. At this point, I had no reason to believe that the story was taking place in the future because of the way the story is being told. Just like every viewer, I just assumed the story was being told in a linear fashion. Episode 5 is one of the greatest episodes of any television show I've ever seen. It sure felt like it was a series finale. Everything is explained. The year is 4028. Humans have destroyed the planet, resulting in human evolution so drastic they evolved into killing machines known as Abbeys. Back in the 21st century, a visionary named David Pilcher created an ark for the human race known as Wayward Pines. He plucked people out of their lives without their knowledge and attempted to rebuild humanity. Ethan, who has ventured all the way to Boise, is picked up by Pilcher on a helicopter and brought into the mountain bordering the town. Episode 6 brings more twists. Over a decade earlier, Pilcher launched his first Wayward Pines, where he told everyone the truth about their new lives. Chaos ensued, and Pilcher watched as Group A was decimated, and he was forced to start anew with Group B. Meanwhile, Kate and Harold are building a bomb to breach the wall. Ethan stops their first attempt at freedom, but a lone rebel rams through the fence with a dump truck and is immediately killed by an Abbey. The remaining rebels are thrown into jail, and all but Kate are killed by Jason, the leader of the first generation. The first generation are the children who have grown up in Wayward Pines and who worship Pilcher like a god. Adam Hassler, who used to be a higher-up among the Secret Service and was seen in the early episodes, is revealed to have followed the Burkes into Wayward Pines and has become a traveler searching the world for any human life. Ethan turns on Pilcher and tells the citizens of Wayward Pines the truth about their new lives. The obsessive Pilcher turns off the power to the fence, which lets the Abbeys in, so we can begin again with Group C. The first generation retreats into a bunker made for them. Ethan and everyone else attack the mountain base through an alternate entrance. In order to reach the base, Ethan must give his life, and he does just that. Pilcher's sister Pam kills Pilcher to end his reign over the new world. Ben is knocked unconscious and wakes up 3 years later, where he discovers that humans are still alive, but the world is ruled by the first generation. Some major points about this first season. First off, Pilcher is an excellent antagonist. A very important part about great villains is that they see themselves as heroes. If the story takes place from their perspective, all their motivations would make sense, but they would have one major flaw or oversight in their plan that results in a conflict with the actual hero of the story. Pilcher fits the bill. He's trying to save the human race, but in him doing so, he does many unethical things, such as stealing people's lives and letting whole communities of people die to perfectly rebuild society. The other major pluses are that every characters Motivations all made sense. I didn't notice any characters that stood out as extra bad. And the big twist that happens in the middle is probably the best part of the whole show. Since season 1 was so good, it sucks to see the way the show turned out. So what was actually the problem with season 2? Or shall I say, season bad? Am I right? So, any ideas for next season? Well, season 1 was a hit. Let's just copy and paste the same plot. But this is such a unique show. There's so many different directions we can take this. Don't worry, we'll change it up. We'll kill off all the original characters and replace them with new, boring characters that people have no emotional connection with. Nobody will like that. The show will get cancelled. Maybe we can add some incest. Wayward Pines took a risk by killing off their main character, Ethan Burke. Did it work? Well, yes and no. If the series ended after one season, this would be a near perfect decision, and I don't think anyone is angry with me saying that. Ethan's sacrifice saves the remainder of the human race, and more importantly, the Burke family. Instead, the Burke family is obliterated, and a significant amount of the town dies. Making this even worse is that by killing off your main character, that position is now vacant. So who do the writers replace Ethan with? Well, Ben would be the best choice, but he dies in episode 2, so it can't be him. How about Teresa? She wasn't in the premiere, and she's dead in episode 6. How about Kate? Well, she's dead in the first 40 minutes. So who's the main character? By killing Ethan Burke and continuing the series, the only other options are to introduce a new character or promote an old character to a more important role. And I applaud the writers for not going with the latter and giving a character like Arlene a main character role, even though they kinda did since she appears in the most episodes across the entire series, but we'll just forget about that. Anyway, the writers add a new character, Dr. Theo Yedlin. He's basically a Walmart brand Ethan Burke, except instead of a secret agent cliche, Theo's a doctor cliche. It's almost as if the writers couldn't decide whether or not to kill Ethan, so they just said, we'll kill Ethan, but let's just introduce Ethan version 2. The main issue is that unlike Theo, the viewers already understand how this new world operates. So now you have to spend important time to get Theo caught up, and since he was just introduced 2 seconds ago, no one cares what he goes through. He could get eaten by an Abby, and no one would care, because other characters that we've grown to love have suffered worse fates, and this guy just randomly shows up, and you expect me to care about him? So now that the show has bored the audience by dumping a pile of already known exposition onto us, at least we can finally get to the characters everyone cares about. Right? Nope, they're all dead. Except for Megan Fisher, who is now magically alive, until she dies again in episode 7. I already mentioned Ben, Teresa, and Kate who die. Pam is alive, only to die in episode 3. With no original characters left, the writers resort to shiny new characters. Rebecca, Xander, CJ, and Carrie are the major new characters. Rebecca is basically a replacement for Teresa, and Xander seems to be another Ethan clone. Carrie is relatively interesting, although she is a recycled arc from Pam, the assistant to the bad guy who has a change of heart, then kills the baddie and sacrifices herself to save everyone. CJ, on the other hand, seems to be the only character who had effort put into them. He's the only new character who is important to both the current plot and the lore. Every so often he wakes up to check on humanity's state. Eventually he awakens everyone to begin Wayward Pines.
CJ is definitely one of the few bright spots of Season 2.
Let me touch on Teresa, Jason, and Carrie a bit more. A weird thing happened in some of the early episodes of Season 2 regarding Teresa. She felt very out of place, and I'm not sure if it was regarding the time jump into this new version of the town, where things are a bit different, or if it was due to a lack of other Season 1 characters acting alongside her. Maybe a mix of both, but it wasn't an issue with any of the other returning characters, which is the weird part. Shortly after the crops burn in episode 6, there's an interaction between Carrie and Jason, where Jason begins to doubt his abilities as a leader, and Carrie follows it up by calling out Jason for being weak. Now I know that the show ended after the season, so this point doesn't really matter, but I'll address it anyway. As I watch this moment, it makes me somewhat disappointed in the ending of both these characters. There's so much potential to turn Jason into the good guy and Carrie into the bad guy. This could have been the breaking point between the two as Carrie takes control over the town, and for Jason to cope with his failure, and long term, maybe season 3 or even past that, he could have retaken control once he learned from his mistakes. How great would it have been to watch in season 3 as the once dictator, Jason Higgins, becomes the actual savior of the human race that he was once prophesied to be by the Pilchers. Instead, we get a boring Fall from Grace story where he dies in the end. His actual arc is not actually bad. In fact, I'd say it was really well done. But I just think the alternative is much more interesting, that you don't see as often as you see a Fall from Grace story. As well, if the show were to get a season 3, which it probably won't, but if it were, then, since Jason's alive, you wouldn't have to add another new character, which is what screwed you over in the first place.
Now, if the new characters suck, then the writers must have put the majority of their effort into the plot. Well, no. Season 1 and Season 2 have nearly identical overall plots. Man wakes up in strange town. Man learns about town while he is reunited with his family. Civil unrest is ongoing in the town. Man goes beyond the fence where he discovers the Abbeys. Man is promoted to a leader position in Wayward Pines. The Abbeys begin to attack. Major character sacrifices themselves. Villain dies. The citizens of Wayward Pines flee into a safe building to escape the Abbey onslaught. Ends on a cliffhanger. You know, pretty different stories, he says sarcastically. But that's pretty vague, you know? So let's get into some more detail. In the premiere, we're introduced to the new gang of characters. Wayward Pines is run by the first generation, who idolize Pilcher and run a dictatorship. Just like Season 1, there's rebellion. Unlike Season 1, they are a lot less secretive about it. Ben, who is the face of the rebellion, gives himself up for peace. Kate kills herself, and Jason sends Ben beyond the wall along with Theo, one of them for being the leader of a rebellion, and the other for being kinda rude. Episodes 2 and 3 bring about the deaths of Ben and Pam. Ben's death was shocking to me at the time because I still assumed he was going to play a major role moving forward. Pam's death was actually really well handled. The way she had realized how much of a mistake Wayward Pines was and attempted to end the project, only to be killed by the leader she helped create.
In episode 4, Adam Hassler returns, and a female Abby appears on the carousel. Wait, hold on. A carousel? Why is there a carousel in this town when they don't even have enough land for food? At some point I think they mentioned the soil was a problem, so maybe that's why? I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments. Back in episodes 5 and 6, Rebecca is shown to be the architect of Wayward Pines, and the Abbeys burn down the crops needed to feed everyone. Over the next 4 episodes, we get some CJ flashbacks. The female Abby escapes to launch an attack on the humans. Jason dies, Carrie sacrifices herself to spread a disease to the Abbeys, and everyone else goes into cryo to sleep for a few thousand more years. And by everyone I mean not too many. Quite a few died after being left behind because they weren't essential to the survival of Wayward Pines. Can I hear you say, boring, boring? This is the ending scene to episode 9. This is 3 minutes into the finale. This is 13 minutes into the finale. And this is with 3 minutes left in the finale. Okay, I know what this looks like. I know they look like they're taken from the same scene. And I don't blame you for thinking that. But these are actually from 4 different scenes at 4 different times. You take the writers who want to add some tension to these final moments. There's no rush. They have all the time in the world. The Abbeys are nowhere close and not getting there anytime soon. Before we leave, did everyone go to the washroom? Yes. No, I haven't gone yet. Okay, go ahead, we'll wait for you. Without any tension, there's no stakes. We know everyone's gonna make it into the pods. They try to add some stakes with CJ hovering over the self-destruct button, or terminate button, or whatever it was. But after a few seconds of deliberating, and a couple hallucinations, he walks away to be frozen with the rest. As for everyone else, who cares? We see maybe a couple dozen die, if that. None of which are anything more than extras, except for Carrie. To relate this to current events, there's over 1 million deaths due to COVID, and many people just don't care. In their heads, the deaths, they're just a number on a page. Yet when it affects just one person they care about, now there's a reaction. Just like in Wayward Pines, if more characters that people care about are left out of the selection and left to die, we would have some more tension and a better ending. What makes season 1 so great is that there's so much good content packed in. There's hardly a skippable scene in the entire 10 episodes. Then you watch season 2, and too many scenes are just inconsequential and boring.
There's a YouTube video called Wayward Pines Season 2 First Look. In it, the writers give a sneak peek into the next season and provide some commentary on the big things to come. Hey, you can see it there, but I was doing air quotes on the big things to come. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. There are many, many strange quotes in this, including one where one of the producers says, "What? The same Kate who gets about 5 minutes of screen time and dies." Huh. Interesting. Anyway, the one quote that caught my attention the most was when Blake Crouch, the author of the book and a writer for the show, says, "Seriously? This was a story they thought was truly great? We must have different definitions of great. Either their standards are extremely low, or mine are very high. And I enjoyed Game of Thrones Season 8, so I don't think my standards are the issue." Clearly what happened was the show was originally planned to only have 1 season. Also, it is pretty evident that many of the original actors, not expecting a second season, had already committed to other projects, which resulted in their untimely deaths in the show. This leads to my theory. The writers had a truly great idea. They let the network know, "Hey, we're coming back for season 2. But after contacting the actors, they were like, "Aw shit, none of the OG actors can play a full-time role. Dang, what are we gonna do? We still have to make a second season, and the only character we have left is Jason." Well, we have Megan too. She's dead though. Well, she's alive now. Okay, fine, but that only gets us so far. Well, maybe for Jason we can introduce his mother, and she's like the same age or something, and they want to have a baby together. Dude, what's up with you and incest? I'm sorry, okay, I'm just really stressed. This theory, it'd explain a lot, and let's just consider it historically accurate. If you asked every viewer of Wayward Pines why they watched the show in the first place, they'd almost definitely say, the mystery, of course. And who can blame them? There's so many questions. Why can't Ethan leave? Why is no one helping him? Who does this sheriff guy think he is? And why does he like ice cream so much? Never mind. I think we all like ice cream. And with every answer opens up new questions until episode 5, when the truth is revealed and leaves the viewers dumbfounded, with their mouths hanging open and jaws on the floor.
The show's original success was built off mystery, so watching its season 2 brings no mystery to the table. It leaves me hungry. Come on, I gotta eat here. Now, not having any mystery is not inherently bad, but when you take it out, the rest better be absolutely amazing. And season 1 never really shined anywhere other than mystery, so season 2 is like a burger, except there's no cheese, no lettuce, or no mystery meat patty. All that's left is the buns, and those buns already have a few bites taken out of them. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer a full burger, you know? So, what are some of the twists we end up getting? Carrie and Jason being related is one. It's executed well, but it's just so common that any relation twists have begun to lose any effect on me, especially after I've seen Dark. In that show, there are many more relation twists, and each one is better executed than just this one in Wayward Pines. One of the other big twists we get is that the female Abby that was caught by the citizens of Wayward Pines was actually the queen. Good idea in theory, executed poorly. There's about an hour and 20 minutes, or 2 episodes between the Abby showing up and her being revealed as the queen. Zero build-up, and it gets completely overshadowed because at the same time, the Abby's outside the fence start screaming. In terms of major twists, if you can even call them that, that's it. Season 2 loses its strongest attribute that was once prevalent in Season 1. Even some of the smaller Season 1 twists are better than the Season 2 twists. It's very disappointing because there's so much potential with the time jump and the new characters to add some more mystery, but the new stuff brought nothing and took away what we loved. By the way I'm talking about Season 2, you must be thinking that this is the worst show to appear on television ever in the history of television. That's just not true. Yes, compared to Season 1, Season 2 belongs in an incinerator, but I will go out on a limb and say this. If Season 2 is its own standalone show, it could maybe, possibly, be considered good overall, but unfortunately, it is not a standalone show, so we have to rate it for what it is, average. There are so many terrible shows out there, you just can't say Wayward Pines Season 2 is bad. Even though I've called it lazy and a mistake, there's clearly a lot of people who truly care about the show, and many more who put effort into it. So with effort and care, inevitably there has to be some positives.
The biggest positive by far is Jason. I love how he was this first generation child, was groomed by the Pilchers to become the future leader of Wayward Pines. No one was better prepared, and yet Jason failed at his one purpose in life. He spiraled out of control and fell from power, only to be killed by the only person he truly loved.
Another positive being Pam's ending. She realized she couldn't just sit back and watch as Wayward Pines failed over and over again, so she tried to write the ending to humanity. Episode 8 exploration of CJ's journey is brilliant and ties up many loose ends. In my opinion, it's probably the top 5 episode of the entire show. To me, there's no glaring issues with the acting. I'm glad Pilcher returned in some flashbacks.
Another big positive for me is the cinematography. Watching the show initially, and then rewatching for this video, I'm upset with myself that I didn't notice how good some of the shots were. It wasn't until I was gathering clips for this video that I realized how oblivious I was. Especially this shot of Jason in front of the burning crops. It captures him confronting his failures and realizing the disaster he's caused. Other than that, I'm probably going to have to reach for some more positives, so I'll just leave it there. But I'm sure there's more positives, I just won't get to them because they're just so insignificant.
Hopefully someday Season 3 will be released, and it will be 10 times better than Season 1. At that point, I will admit I was wrong, but until that day, Season 2, go where you belong. Hey guys, I need your script. Here you go. All it says here is incest. Yeah, sorry, that's all we could come up with. No. This is brilliant. Told you.